Bel Air, Michigan has had a pretty good summer. It has been a hot summer all across the state, and we are now officially at the 9th hottest summer of all time. Think about that. Over 150 years of data. We're in the 9th hottest summer ever. We've had multiple stretches of hot weather, yes. Now, we have not had a ton of extreme hot weather, and I will explain what I mean by that in just a second. First, a look at the list here. So this is the list not including this year's temperature, because you see this year's average temperature, that's the high plus the low, add them together, divide by 2, is right in there. So we are now number 9 at 74.3 degrees. That is now above the summer of 2021. It's also above the summer of 1988. And we're going to talk about the summer of 1988 coming up in just a little bit. And let's get through today's forecast first. We'll go out into the Atlantic Ocean and we'll talk about Tropical Storm Erin, still tropical storm status. But I'll tell you this, it does look like it's starting to gain a little bit of strength. It's certainly starting to gain a bit of organization. And the winds have now increased 10 miles per hour since their last update. So tropical storm status for a little bit longer, a couple more miles per hour. And that is going to be a Category 1 hurricane, which is expected to happen within the next 24 hours. In fact, by this time tomorrow, probably have winds of 90 miles an hour. As Erin was initially being pushed for forecast out, it was looking like it was going to go over the Caribbean, through the Caribbean, and then the question was going to be where did it go from there? Models are starting to agree that there's more of a northern pull. This is good news for the United States and for the East Coast, because the Carolinas breathing a little sigh of relief now that that might stay out in the ocean as opposed to affecting the eastern seaboard in that way. 78 degrees outside. As we look at the satellite and radar, we'll see it's very quiet over Michigan. That's good. Maybe a couple of sprinkles down into parts of northern Ohio. We're going to go rain-free today, sunshine, and lower humidity levels, which is really, frankly, I think the best part. 84 degrees, feeling like 84 degrees, not with that humidity, but the hot summer temperatures do continue. The average this time of the year is 82. We will be above that the entire weekend. All those days early next week, and even notice the weekend, we get back to like 91 degrees. And that's 91, but feeling a bit more like 93, 94, because it's going to be pretty darn hot out there. Sunday is looking pretty warm as well. That's when the rain showers begin to jump in. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we fall those temps a little bit, but we're going to keep the chance of rain around for Monday and for Tuesday. So the summer of 88, that is what we're talking about, because when you start talking to people around here about hot summers, everybody brings up the summer of 1988. And they're right. It was a very hot summer. It was a very dry summer. And our crews back in 1988 covered it all. Here's a quick look at some of the effects that the weather was having on firefighters and farmers from back then.
This is the latest side effect resulting from the drought of '88, a dramatic increase of fires in the city of Detroit. Firefighters admit some of the blazes have been set and others caused by hazy, humid, and hot conditions.
It's been tough, real tough, and I don't expect it to let down all week at all because the weather just seems to be getting hotter and hotter.
All that comes from the earth this summer isn't living. Michigan's $15 billion a year agriculture business is in trouble. On Bob Hodgkiss's 152-acre farm in Romeo, soybean plants cling on for dear life, and this corn crop can't make it another week without rain.
Yeah, and they did not get that rain that they wanted. June of 88 was like almost entirely dry. Very little rain in July and August, but it was the temperatures that everyone talked about, and rightfully so. So here's what's fascinating about data collection. The summer of 88 had more extreme heat than we have had this summer. Okay. But we have had more sustained warm overnight lows than they had back then. So I'll dig into some of the numbers here. Back in 88, 5 days of 100 degrees. Ooh, 5. Okay. That's a lot. Yeah. You don't normally see that many. Also, 31 days of 90 degrees or more. We have had 13 this year. Okay. So we're technically hotter this year, even though they had significantly hotter extreme highs. But the difference comes in the lows, because back in 88, 7 days with overnight lows in the 40s, 26 with overnight lows in the 50s. Okay. We've had barely any.
I was going to say, our overnight lows are like 70.
60 and 70.
I mean, it's crazy.
We had a 150-hour stretch where we did not fall below 70 degrees. Wow. Which is going to bring that average up. Yeah. So when people talk about how hot it was back in 88, they're right to do so. Yes. But what they got was some relief days. we have had very few relief days this year. So I think that's where the difference comes into play.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you average all of that out. And plus, I think like a couple days ago, you were saying we were at number 11, and now more data, and we're number 9. So it's really interesting to see how that all shakes out. And especially, because I think that's what I remember about being a kid, is you would have those super duper hot days. But it was so much cooler at night. And I feel like, I don't know if this is true, but I feel like it was really hot earlier in the day. You know, it was like that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
So the heat of the day.
It was super hot.
Right.
And now
Intense.
it feels like 4 and 5 o'clock.
It's hotter
It's
then.
the hottest.
So what really blew my mind was July overnight lows. So back in '88, July overnight lows, they had 8 days where they had 50 degrees or more. And in June, it was 11 or 13, I think. This year, 3.
Wow.
3.
That's wild.
In July, think about that. The entire month of July, we only fell into the 50s 3 times. Every other day had 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. Nothing else.
Consistently.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's it. Consistent heat overnight and during the afternoon. Not to mention the humidity, which has been very rough this
Very.
year. Now, what we had this year that we did not have in '88, the rain.
Yeah.
So way more rain for us this year, so the drought is not an issue, which is good.